The speaker that I'd like to call up next is someone who's a specialist in customer engagement. Coming from Intent IQ, the Chief Revenue Officer, please put your hands together for Jonathan Woolf.
Morning everybody, delighted to be here with you. My name is Jonathan Woolf. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer of Intent HQ. We are a company that allows our customers to understand their customers better than anyone else. I say that with some confidence because I was a customer of Intent HQ for 10 years when I headed up all of the customer engagement at Telefonica. So let me give you a little introduction. So we are the AI Company of the Year in the UK. That is worth calling out because the UK is a hotbed for AI technologies, very competitive. We managed to win that. We've been called out by the Financial Times as one of Europe's fastest growing companies for the last 3 years. We have customers all over the world now. We're global. Gartner consider our technology to be disruptive. We operate across 6 different territories now, 6 offices in 6 countries. And we have 39 patents and counting. So what is it that we are all about? Relevance. We enable our customers to identify hidden patterns and new commercial opportunities in their existing customer data. And perhaps most interestingly, with something that we have called Intent Edge, we allow new mobile insights and behavior to be understood, processing everything on the device. So we have a patented set of AI technology that understands the mobile behavior without any customer data ever having to leave the device. No data gets sent through to the cloud, and that allows our customers to increase customer engagement. It also opens up some other use cases such as fraud and credit risk as well, which is interesting. As part of all of this, we help reduce all of that marketing noise. So speaking personally, when I was at Telefonica, when I got there, we were sending out 400 messages to each customer per annum. Might be hard to believe for some of you, might be easier to believe for others of you that are involved in that. But over the following 8 years, we reduced that down to about 65 messages per customer per annum, whilst increasing revenues. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about that story. We have a big marketing disconnect at the moment, and very interesting for our host to tee this up in terms of how many of you are having great experiences. The great news is that the technology, the capability is here today, but the technology alone cannot solve this, right? It needs engagement across the business. But that first point there, what we see is customers drowning in content, but they are actually starving for connection. You know, you only have to get into the lift in the hotel opposite on the way down today, and everyone's locked on their phone. They're super engaged. They want that little adrenaline hit, but the information deluge is just too much. So how do we filter that out when customers are getting 10,000 messages a day? Loyalty is largely dead. The brands like to consider they're relevant. The brands like to consider they're loyal, but swipes, skips, and unsubscribes dominate. How do we fix that? How do we move forward when we are in such a polluted world? The problem is not one of reach, it's one of relevance. It's actually turning down the volume. Imagine a world where at the end of a 12-month period, the engagement that you got from a particular brand was really sparse, but every single message was spot on. whether it was the right moment to engage. And I'm going to talk to you about how we are redefining the right moment to engage. When we were talking about right moment to engage 10 years ago, it was based on, okay, what's the customer's response to a campaign been? What channel do they respond to? Do they normally respond on a Friday night, and is it via email? Well, we're going to tell you how we've totally changed that paradigm. So in the old paradigm, we were talking about campaigns, the campaign-centric world, which still, for the vast majority of us, exists, right? But one thing we do with our customers is to reduce the campaign-centric world. It's not just about campaigns, it's about the individual engagement. More messages versus contextual value. When I was at Telefonica, if we wanted increased revenues, we would turn up the campaign volume. That was a really deeply embedded cultural thing. Millions and millions of messages. We move our customers to a world now where they generate increased revenues and reduce campaign volume as well, and I'll explain a little bit how. Static relevance. So in the old world, we would look at segments. We'd look at demographics, high value, high risk of churn. What we now look at is moment-based. We actually understand the customer's behavior during the day, during the week, during the month. Clicks and views. That was the way we used to do it. Who's clicked on what? Whereas now, we are able to understand a customer's emotional affinity with a particular brand. We are able to understand the likelihood of them engaging with another brand over the next week, over the next month, over the next few months. Now the paradigm shift to this is kind of urgent. I'm going to bring up some evidence as well in a few slides for what happens to brands, what has happened to brands that are not considered relevant by the consumers out there. It's a huge game changer. For years, relevance was seen as a function of the right segment. In 2025, it's not just about the right segment, it's about that emotional connection, perfect timing, contextual sensitivity, and consent-driven delivery. Most companies, as our host mentioned, are still relying on volume over relevance, okay? There's not a lot of companies doing smart customer engagement, taking advantage of the latest AI technologies right now. Despite advancements in AI and access to customer data, personalization at the level of contextual relevance remains really rare. And there's many reasons for this. It's complex to do, it's complex to get the organization to do it. You've got organizational inertia and skill gaps, you've got sunk investment in existing ad tech and martech. These companies have spent tens of millions on their ad tech and martech, that's what we did previously. Complexity of customer data scattered across platforms, the fear of breaching compliance. We've seen with some of the larger organizations now where their consent rates have dropped to under 20%. And they're just absolutely paranoid about personalizing too much for fear that they will breach compliance. Well, what if you can drive that engagement without harvesting the customer's data, understanding the mobile behavior, but without understanding it's Jonathan or Peter or Teresa, whoever it may happen to be. So we have at Intent HQ, one of our products is Edge AI. Okay, so this is AI operating on the device. Privacy-first design, it encourages smarter on-device innovation. No data ever leaves the device. We process everything on the device. It allows our customers to analyze the behavioral patterns without sending any data to the cloud. We offer real-time contextual personalization without the PII. We can send push notifications via the app that our SDK is embedded in without harvesting that customer data. All the processing is executed on the device. The data doesn't leave. This creates a model where the phone becomes more of a personalization engine, not a tracking device. We do not understand the identity of the individual we are tracking. We understand the mobile behavior. This mobile gets up at 6 in the morning. This mobile goes for a run at 6:30. We don't know if it's Peter, we don't know if it's Bob. We do not care, but we understand that information over time. As a result of that, that gives the customers confidence because they know their data is never leaving the device. They know that data is not going to the cloud. So yes, they are happy. We are seeing increased consent rates as a result of that because they know their data is not being harvested elsewhere. They know it's not being shared elsewhere. And so this is about customer respect. This is about a new paradigm for us. So let's Let's look in a little bit more detail at the edge AI. So we've got a number of challenges in this world. We can capture, our phones represent our lives today, right? You know, that's pretty true for all of us. But there are challenges: battery consumption, model training. How do you shrink the models? How do you get predictive models still running on the device, producing some level of quality? How do you achieve what we call blind personalization? So in our world, we pick up information from a variety of sensors on the device, whether it's Bluetooth, whether it's Wi-Fi, whether it's the accelerometer, whether it's the installed app footprint. We do not see what the customers are doing in the different apps. We're not interested in that, but we see the changes in app installation, app footprint. Have they got streaming apps? Have they got clothing apps? Have they got fitness apps? Whatever it may be, banking apps. It doesn't matter for us. But we pick up these signals through Bluetooth, for instance, when you get in the car and your phone connects with the in-car infotainment system. We see the make, we see the model of the car that you connect, we see how often you get in that car. Is it 3 days a week? Is it once a month? We infer, do you own a car? Do you share a car ride? Do you not own a car? Do you work from home? Do you never go to the office? Do you work from the office 5 days a week? Whatever that may be. All of these types of insights. And we use any possible signal in the phone to generate an unprecedented number of data points and insights, all without the data leaving the device, which is really, really important. This helps us predict a huge variety of new behaviors. This helps us understand a huge variety of new behaviors. Whether it's, is the customer about to refuel? Is the customer about to move home? Is the customer about to go for a run? Is the customer likely to go to work today? Whatever it may be, based on the richest set of signals, which is your mobile device, not based on last week or last month's information on what their campaign response was, but actually based on what we see happening during the day. Not saying, okay, we're looking at this historic data, let's message the customer at 5 p.m. on a Friday because that was the last time they responded. Let's let the phone put its hand up and say, okay, I now qualify for the definition of the segment that you wanted to send that message to. But we've got another trick up our sleeve as well. We send that message to the customer once the phone has said, okay, I am in that segment now. That message goes down to the phone. The message does not appear at that moment, okay? It stays hidden on the phone until the customer gets the phone out of their pocket or until the customer swipes up on the screen. At that moment, because our SDK is on the phone, we see the movement on the accelerometer. We see the swipe up of the screen. At that second, we reveal the message to the customer. Where we do that, we see a massive increase in click-throughs. And by massive, we have one customer in the Middle East who's reported 24 times improvement, 24 times, not 24%, 24 times increase in click-through rates, purely as a result of what we call optimal moment to engage, and it's something that we have a patent around as well. We'll look a little bit at causal AI quickly as well. So part of everything we try to do at Intent HQ is really fine-tune the efficiency of the customer engagement with their customers, okay? So these sorts of questions: who's most likely to pivot to non-churner if we contact them? What offer channel is most likely to make them pivot? What level of discount would they need to persuade them to pivot? But then we can start to have some additional fun with one of our big customers in America, with whom we're processing over 100 million profiles every day as we sit here right now. We've split it up into 4 segments, and these segments, you've got the wasted ones, okay? The ones who, and by wasted, what I mean is they're actually going to buy or upgrade or take more data or take another phone anyhow. So your marketing dollars are wasted because they were going to upgrade anyhow, okay? You've got the do not disturb ones, the ones who actually, they might be do not disturb, but if they get another message, they might swipe left, and that'll be the last time you engage with them. You've got what we, perhaps unkindly call the lost cause, but every company in the telecommunications world has customers that cost them money or are marginally profitable. How much can you move the dial on those? We can predict that. And there is no point, if someone doesn't have the money, they're not suddenly going to come into money. So actually don't spend your marketing dollars there. However, that segment up in the top right, that top right-hand quadrant, we call the persuadables. So these are the customers who won't upgrade, but they've got a very good probability of upgrading if we send them the right message with the right tone of voice in the right channel at the right time. They're the persuadables. By just focusing the marketing dollars and the customer engagement around the tone of voice and around that segment, we are saving our customer in the States a huge amount of money. They are not sending out the campaigns to tens of millions of customers at a time at the moment. We have something else as well. We call this our audience AI. This allows the AI, you as a marketeer, you as a commercial owner, you select the outcomes for any activity, any customer engagement, in old language, any campaign that you want to run. And you say, I want this conversion, I want this profitability. We allow our AI to go and optimally select the best audience to satisfy the commercial results. And you're getting down to constrained audiences, lower numbers, higher conversion rates typically as well. Couple of things quickly on two things which come from the phone. We call them microsegments and micro moments, okay? So a microsegment, what might a microsegment be? Identifying weekend social media users, identifying evening mobile gamers, as an example, okay? And then what do you do with those microsegments? You can have some real fun. We can identify when is the best time to contact those microsegments. Those people who are very high video game streamers at the weekend and who are running out of data and who are about to jump onto that second SIM card, which might not be on your network. Let's grab them before that happens. Let's offer them double data on a Thursday evening or on a Friday evening, catch them at exactly the right time, give them a Friday evening instant weekend streaming boost. Whatever it may be, we can now target customers very specifically around the time. And all of this without the data leaving the device. All of this without knowing the individual's identity. I call this slide relevance evidence. Everyone talks about relevance. This is some hard data on the brands that lost relevance in the customer's eye, what it cost them, and those that picked up on the back of it. Zara is one of the best quoted examples, but Zara, the combination of their real-time supply chain feedback, the continual feedback into their development and their production line is also married with relevance. They excel in relevance, and they're a great example of a retail brand that turned down the volume, respected the customer, whilst having a supply chain capability to deliver products that are very in the moment, on demand. Not from last month's data, last quarter's data, last year's data. There's other examples here with Gap, with Crew that you will have seen, with Sprint, a big one. But relevance, the point of this slide is that relevance affects the bottom line. Your customer's engagement, your customer's NPS, the perception the customer has of you is massively affected by that. And I'm coming towards a close now, so I've just got some actual examples from customers where we do work today. Verizon in the States, one of our largest customers. Telefonica UK, better known as O2, a customer of ours for 8 years, 20 million customers, an incremental 100 million in profitability. The sorts of things that we do, if we identify that someone loves their active sports, or they're a runner, or we identify that someone is into high-end fashion and may not be into active sports, but we've got the same commercial target or the same customer target, we will send them very different messages, different imagery, different text, in order to take advantage of the insights that we see and drive up the open rates, the click rates, the conversion, and of course the NPS as well. Here's some other examples. Final thoughts. The companies that are winning today, we are seeing, are changing their narrative. They're looking at customer behavior. They're not just looking at demographics. They're orchestrating the moments, not just the messages. They're using edge intelligence to personalize without invading privacy, taking full advantage of the capability in the on-device data, treating privacy and relevance as design principles, so starting right at the bottom, not as features that are bolt-ons later. It's a little bit of a paradigm shift, and it takes some discussion within your organizations, okay? This was not a snap your fingers moment for us. This was activity over years, but there is nothing stopping you from starting, identifying 1, 2, 3 use cases right now that you can start on and seeing the uplift within the next few months. So on that note, that is the end of my talk. So thank you very much for listening. Thank you for our time.
Thank you to John.